Yeah, right. Should be doing, it does that.
Okay, we're recording now to the cloud.
Right.
Okay, very good. So I don't know if anybody else is going to tune in.
Well,
It's now 4:45,
yeah, it's time.
and I'm going to get started.
Okay, and you're recording it.
Right.
Good.
So that's where we're at in terms of today's Daf Yomi. Anyone who's listening should contact me and hopefully either sign in or let me know otherwise. Okay. I want
David?
to share the screen. No, that's not what I
You
want
don't
to do.
have, do you
I
have
want
it?
Larry, you're currently off camera for some reason.
Because he's not dressed for the daf.
Okay, you close yourself off. All right.
I muted my phone and I closed myself.
Go ahead.
Okay, good. All right, so let's see what we can do about a little Gemara. All right, I am going to start the Gemara today back on Ted Vav Amud Beis, okay, about 10 lines from the bottom. Klei zechuchit, says the Gemara. Ma'itama gazur baho rabbanan tuma. What's the reason that the rabbis declared it tamei, glass utensils? Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Reish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Reish Lakish, U'ilu tchilat briatan min hachol shavin hu rabbanan. That since the beginning of creation of utensils made of glass comes from sand, the rabbis equated it with kiklei cheres, and therefore making glass utensils like earthenware utensils, okay? Which would therefore seem to imply that they should not be tamei outside, but only inside. Ela me'ata lo tehelahen ta'ara b'mikvah. Furthermore, if that's the case, okay, what about the possibility of glass utensils being made pure again by immersion in the mikvah? Alama, okay, based on what? Tznan ve'elu chotzatzin b'kelim, because we have a Braita, a Mishnah that teaches these are the kinds of things that result in a separation as regards to utensils, a zephet regarding pitch, vahamor, and regarding murgam, b'klei zechuchit, if they're attached to a glass utensil. Hacha b'mai yaskinen. So what are we dealing with then? Okay, kagon shenikvu. That's as if the situation is where the glass utensil had a hole in it. Vehetif letochan avar, and they poured lead into closing the hole. But Rabbi Meir he, and this follows the view of Rabbi Meir, the Amar, who says, "Hakol halech achar hama'amid," that everything follows the idea of the support, the facilitator, allowing the object to be used. Titania, as taught in a Braita, klei zechuchit shenikvu, vehetif letochan avar, a glass utensil that was perforated, and they poured into it lead. Okay, what is our question is going to be? What is the status? Should it be considered still like klei cheres, or should it be now considered like klei matechet? Okay. Amar Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, says Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, Rabbi Meir metame. Rabbi Meir is the one who considers it like a metal item and therefore renders, right? V'chachamim mitaharin. And the sages say it is tahor. Okay? And therefore, ela me'ata. But if that's the case, asks the Gemara, right, then it would appear to be that we still haven't come to an answer whether the glass utensils are clearly like metal or like earthenware, right? So that's the issue. It would seem now that the glass would be like metal. Turning on now to Tet Zayin, Amud Aleph. Lo litmei migaban, which would imply, therefore, that they should not become impure from the outside. Alama, on what basis? Tnan, the fact that we have a Mishnah that teaches clay cheres or clay neter. Okay, if we have earthenware utensils and clay, white clay utensils, tumatan shaveh, their status of becoming tameh is the same. Mitma'in, they convey tuma, umitam'in ma'avirehan. So they can receive tuma and they can render something tuma inside when there is something over their airspace. Umitam'in me'achorehen, and they now can render something from their outside tameh. Ve'ein mot mitameh en migabehen, but we say that they don't become tameh from the outside. Ushviratan mitaharin, and any breakage to the item is now going to no longer render it a valid utensil until it's refashioned, and then it becomes tahor. So the Gemara continues, without having given us a complete answer then. Clay neter, again, white clay utensils. Clay cheres, okay, and earthenware utensils. Who did tumatan shaveh? Their status in regards to tuma is the same. Aval mide achrina, but anything else, lo, that doesn't seem to be the case. Amre, but I might say as follows. Kevan dechinish tabru, once they've become broken, yesh lehem takana, that maybe in that case then, there is a remedy, right, that all you have to do is break the utensil and therefore glue it together, so to speak, and it's valid. Shavin hu kiklei matachot, and therefore that would equate it to be the same as metal utensils. Ela me'ata yechzeru letumatan yishana kikli matachot. If that's the case, says the Gemara, then at this point, these glass utensils, if comparable to metal utensils, will regain their prior tuma status once they have been repaired. Ditnan. Okay, why? Because a Mishnah teaches clay matachot in regards to metal utensils, shutehen, if they're flat, umikablehen, or if they're hollow receptacles, right? Tme'im, they become tameh. Nishbaru, once they're broken, taharu, they become pure. Chazar v'asamehen kelim, once they've become again utensils, chazru l'tumatan yeshana, they also return to their prior tuma status. Ve'ilu gabez chuchitnan, whereas in regards to glass utensils, a bright Mishnah teaches, Kli 8, regarding wooden utensils, uklei or leather utensils, uklei etzem, or utensils made from bone, Uklei zuchuchit, and here we have glass utensils. Pshutehen tohorin, flat ones are tahor. Umekablehen tme'in, but they're hollow ones, the hollow receptacle bowl, like bowls, tme'in, they can become tameh. Nishbaru, once they're broken, taharu, they become renewed again, once again become pure. Chazar v'asa mehen kelim mikablim tuma. If one went back then and made these utensils, okay, they then have this prior tuma, mikan ulahaba. Okay, and this goes on henceforth. Mikan ulahaba. We say this is what happens into the future. Okay? And yes, the mafreya, but ultimately, no, tum'at kli zechuchit the rabbanan. How is that possible? We're saying that the fact that glass utensils become tameh is only determined the rabbanan. V'tuma yeshana the rabbanan. But also the idea of a repaired utensil regaining its prior tuma status is also to be considered only derabanan. And therefore, says the Gemara, B'tum'ah de'oraita achitu v'rabanan. With regards to Torah-mandated impurity, there we say clearly that the rabbis imposed their view on it, okay, in terms of after the situation, right? In terms of regaining its prior tuma status, okay? Whereas tum'ah, right? Tum'ah de rabbanan, lo achitu la rabbanan tum'ah. Whereas rabbinical tumah, right? Rabbis did not impose this view. Okay. Pshuteyan meha vitma. But nevertheless, we've said that flat utensils can become impure, right? Is that the situation? The hapshute klei matachot the oraita ninhu. Why? Because we say that flat metal utensils become scripturally unclean. Avdei baho rabbanan hekera. And therefore we have to determine that the rabbis made a distinction so that there would be a clear difference between glass utensils and metal utensils by saying that the metal utensils, once repaired, do return to their prior tuma status, okay? Or the earthenware, but the glass utensils do not, right? Ki hechi delo lisrof alayhu truma ukadoshim, so that we have a situation that if people's truma or consecrated foodstuffs came in contact with such vessels, they wouldn't have to assume immediately that that must be burnt. Now we'll go on to Tet Zayin Amud Beis. Rav Ashi Amar Le'olam L'Kli Cherestam. According to Rav Ashi, glass utensils are always going to be compared to earthenware. And the fact that it was problematic for you that their outside does not accept any tuma, that's because, okay, the situation is such is that their inside is just as visible as their outside. Okay? And therefore, as a result of that situation, okay, it's regarded as if it's inside, and that's why they become tamei. Okay, we now get to a new piece in the Gemara. Shimon ben Shetach, tikein k'tuba leisha. Shimon ben Shetach established the format and details in regards to a marriage contract for women. The Gazar Tuma al Klei Matachot, and he decreed Tuma in regards to the status of metal utensils. Kli Matachot de'araita ninu. But we're aware of the fact, says the Gemara, that metal utensils have this susceptibility to Tuma from the Torah. Why? Because we have a pasuk that specifically tells us this. Dichtiv, ach, et hazahav v'et hakesef v'gomer. Howbeit the gold and the silver, okay, that we find in Numbers 31:22, everything that may abide the fire, he shall make go through the fire, and it shall be clean. Nevertheless, it shall be purified with the water of separation. Lo nitzracha ela letuma yeshana. This was only needed in order to clarify and form the basis for the rabbinic interpretation that the item could be returned to its previous tuma status. The Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, as in this following story that Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, Maaseh b'shel Tzion Hamalka, a incident that happened with Shlom Tzion Hamalka, the queen, she'asta mishteh libna, that was making a wedding feast for her son. V'nitma'u kol keleha, and all of her utensils became tamei. Ushvartan, and they broke them. V'natnan litzoreif, and then they gave them to the smith. V'ritchan, and he welded them back together. V'asa mehen kelim chadashim, and made them into new utensils. Va'amru chachamim, and the sages said, Yachzeru l'tumatan yeshana, that they return back to their prior status or previous status of being tamei. My tama, what was the reason that the rabbis made such a decree? Mishum gadar mechatat, because they wanted to put a siyag, a border, right, in regards to the use of purification water. That if it were simply the fact that people could break a utensil and then have it repaired and it would regain its new status, that would mean that no one would have the necessity or the tircha to have to use mechatat and to take their items and sprinkle them first on one day and then a number of days later again in order to make the utensil tahor again, naguva. And that's the reason that the rabbis, by providing this fence, if you will, to maintain the practice of mechatat. Ha-nechel amar lo lechol hatumot amru, ela tumat hamet bilvad. This explanation of the return to previous tuma is acceptable when we say that it's in regards to a particular variety of tuma, namely contact with the dead only. Amru Shapir. That's where we say that's fine. Elelaman da amar b'chol hatumot amru. But according to the view who said this applies to any previous kind of tuma, like contact with a sheretz or contact with something else, my ikala memar, what can we then say? Amar Abaye, Koin Abaye, what was the reason? Gezerah shema lo yikavnu b'chdei taharato. Okay, that they made the gezerah so that one does not perforate the utensil or destroy the utensil, okay, in order to get around, if you will, and accomplish its becoming pure again in an abbreviated manner. Rava Amar, but Rava says gezerah shema yomru tefillah bat yoma olala. But Rava disagrees. Says no, they made the decree lest people assume that the immersion of the utensil that day allows it to become tahor that very same day without having to wait for sunset. My beinayu, what's the difference between them? Ika beinayu, deratz finhu mertseif. The difference between them is the fact is whether or not a smith refashioned the item, okay? And therefore, Abayi's reason may still be valid, okay? But Rava's reason, okay, would be implying that the item was made completely brand new. Okay, let's go now to another new piece in the Gemara. We're now still reviewing what among these other 18 items were that the argument in which the school of Shammai superseded the academy, the school of Hillel. V'idach mai, and another one, what's the example? Maihi, Ditznan, as it was taught in a Mishnah. Hamaniach kelim tachet hatzinor, one who may place utensils, okay, below a drain pipe, the kabel bahen me geshamim, so that the rainwater will now wash these utensils and perhaps conceivably remove any tumah from them. Echad kelim gdolim, the same thing applies whether it's a large utensil, which nevertheless doesn't usually get tumah. V'echad kelim ktanim, and the other is that if it's a small utensil. Va'afilu klei avanim, and even if they're utensils made of stone. Uklei adama, or utensils made from earth. Uklei glalim, or utensils made from dried out dung. Poslin et hamikvah. These all use of that water as for its utensil, to then take that water and pour it into a mikvah in order to complete the 40 seah necessary to make it a valid mikvah, right? It does not work. Echad hamaniach, ve'echad hashocheach. And according to this Mishnah, it's the same whether the person put them out there on purpose or simply accidentally forgot and these items were left there. Divrei Beit Shammai, that's the view of the house of Shammai. Beit Hillel metaharin b'shocheach. But Beit Hillel disagrees and says that if the utensils were left out of doors under the drain pipe by accident, though that water, however, could still be used and the mikveh is still valid. Amar Rabbi Meir, says Rabbi Meir, Nimnu, right? They counted the Ravu Beit Shammai al Beit Hillel, and there were more of the faction of Beit Shammai than Beit Hillel. Umodim Beit Shammai b'shocheach, b'chatzar shahu tahor. But Beit Shammai would agree if the utensils were simply forgotten in a situation where the courtyard itself was pure. Now, we have another comment to this machloket, as to whether a decision was reached, okay, on that occasion. Amar Rabbi Yossi, Adayan machloket bimkoma omedet. So Rabbi Yossi is arguing, no, that the argument between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel did not come to a conclusion and still is in existence. Amar Rav Mesharshia, says Rav Mesharshia, the Bei Rav Amri, okay, according to the Academy of Rav, they say, Akol Modim, everybody is in agreement, Kashehinicham B'shat Kishur Avim, if the person had put those utensils under the drain pipe at a time when the clouds were gathering together, Tme'im, then those utensils are tamei, rendering the water inappropriate to add to the mikvah. B'sha'at pizur avim, but at a time when the clouds were dispersing, divrei hakol taharim, everybody would agree that utensils are acceptable. Lo nechlaku ela shehenicham b'sha'at kishur avim. They only disagreed, again, at a time when those utensils were put out, when the clouds were amassing, coming together, v'nit pazru, and then the clouds separated, v'chazru, and the clouds returned, v'nit kashru, and then they came even closer together, producing the rain. Mar savar bitla machshavto. One master holds that his intent was nullified. Umar savar lo batla machshavto. And the other master holds that his intent was not nullified. Well, Rabbi Yossi, and according to Rabbi Yossi, the Amar machloket adayin b'mkoma umedet, okay, who said that the argument is still existent, but lahom, remove that as an example of the 18 decrees. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, af benot kutim nedot me'arisatan bo bayom gazru. Says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, that also a decree occurred that day in which the Kuthian daughters, Samaritan daughters, were going to be considered from the time of their birth, or from their cradle, to be in a status of nida, particularly because they did not want Jewish males to interact with them. Right? On that day, that was decreed. Now, get to another example of a possible one of the 18 decrees. Ve'idach ma'ihi, and another one. What is the example? Ditznan, as was taught elsewhere in a Mishnah. Kol hamitaltalin mevi'in et hatuma ba'ovei hamardeh. All of items that are carried, okay, and they can convey tuma with a ox goad. Amar Rabbi Tarfon. And Rabbi Tarfon responds now on Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Right? Akapech et banai, taking a vow, I would bury my own sons, he said. Shezo halacha mekupechat, that this is an abbreviated halacha. Okay, not only that, sheshama hashomeya v'ta'ah, that the person who heard it and said it was making an error. Why? Because I have the following example. Ha'ikar, the peasant farmer, over humarda'o al ktefo, who was walking carrying his ox goad. And remember, the ox goad was a long stick that was wider at one end and narrow at the other end, by which he would direct the ox, holding on to the wider, the thicker end. And what happens? In this case, he was carrying it over his shoulder, right? And as he was carrying it, part of the ox goad passed over a piece of land where potentially a grave was there. And as a result, if it was the thicker piece of the ox goad, okay, that would have acted like an ohel, like a kind of covering over the grave, and would render the ox goad tameh, and ultimately perhaps also render the farmer himself or the person tameh. And so we continue back with the Gemara. V'ihal tzado achat al hakever, right? And what happened is the end of the ox goad passed over some sort of a grave, tim uoto. Okay, it rendered the ox goad unclean as a utensil, right? Mishum kelim hamahilim al hamet. Just as there are other utensils which could form a ohel, a covering over a deceased body. Amar Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva, Ani atakain, I'll correct this halacha. Shahiyu devrei chachamim kayamim, so that the words of the sages themselves will be appropriate. Sheyihu kol hamitalim, that anything that can be carried, mivi'in et hatuma al ha'adam, they convey and transfer impurity onto a person, shenoseotam, okay, that's carrying them, so long as that size of that keli, of that object, is the measurement of an ox gourd's wider base. Ba'ovei hamardeya, he says, right? Mevin at hadam shenoseotam. Ba'ovei hamardeya, in the, right? We say in the width of the ox gourd, right? Be'al atzman b'chol shehein, and on other things it would not necessarily apply. Be'al shar adam, or even on the person himself. V'kelim b'potech tefach, but only utensils if they have are open at certain handbreadth. Amar Rabbi Yanai, Rabbi Yanai comments, Umardeya sha'amru ein ba'avav tafach. And when we're talking about this ox goad, we're not talking about its width, rather, yesh v'yesh behekefo tefach, but rather its circumference, okay, is a tefach. Because Rual Hakefo Mishum Avyo. And the rabbis made the decree regarding the circumference based on in terms of the width. Rabbi Tarfon, and according to the view of Rabbi Tarfon, the Amar Ekapech et Banai, who said, I would bury my sons, Shahalacha zo mikupachat, right? And that if that's the case, it's an abbreviated law. But through the whole, therefore we have to remove from him one of the decisions so he doesn't have 18. Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, but Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak reminds us, Af benot kutim nidot ma'arisatan, that the decree that the daughters of Kuthians would be considered, nida from their cradles, bo bayom gazru, that therefore it was decreed on that day. Okay, let's go on now. Ubeidach, and what about another possible one of the 18? Severe, and right? Where do we get that for Rabbi Tarfon? Sevirale ke Rabbi Meir. He holds like Rabbi Meir, where we saw the previous argument, okay, which was the fact that what was the situation? Ve'ida. And now another example. Habotzer lagat, one who is harvesting grapes to bring them into the wine press. Right? What happens when as he puts the grapes into a basket, some of the juice from the grapes comes out. Is that juice such that it is a hechsher tuma? Right? Shammai omer buchshar. Shammai says, indeed, it does prepare items for tameh, and that will render the rest of the wine tameh, especially if it's truma. Hillel omer lo huchshar, and Hillel says it does not render it prepared. Amar le Hillel l'Shammai, and Hillel says to Shammai, mepnei ma botzrin b'tahara ve'ein moskin b'tahara. On what basis do you say that the harvesting of grapes, okay, impacts the tuma and tara situation, but the gathering of olives, okay, in terms of tuma and tara, is not the case? Amar le im takniteni, if you're going to provoke me, says Shammai, goes rani tuma af al misika. I would also then declare tameh the oil from the olives in a similar fashion. What happened? Na'atsu hara b'veit hamidrash. As a result of that statement, it was like a sword being stuck into the inside of the Beit Midrash, the degree of tension and the possible blows that would come about. Amru hanichnas ikanes, where they said those who want to come in can come in to participate. V'hayotzei al yetzei, but those who are present cannot leave, because Beit Shammai in that situation had the majority. V'oto hayom haya Hillel kafuf v'yoshev l'fnei Shammai, and that same day, in order not to increase the tension and machloket, Hillel left his seat as the Nasi and sat on the floor like a student before Shammai. Ke'echad min hatalmidim, v'haya kasher liYisrael kiyom shene'asa bo ha'egel. And it was as difficult a day for the Jewish people as it was the day of the creation of the Egel HaZahab. V'gazur Shammai v'Hillel lo kiblu minayhu, and this decree of both Shammai and Hillel, the people did not accept. Va'atu talmidayu gazur v'kiblu minayu. But then along came their students, and they made the similar decree, and it was accepted. Ma'itama, what's the reasoning? Amar Zeiri Amar Rabbi Chanina says as follows: Gezerah shema yibatzru b'kupot tmeot. Lest it be that when they harvested the grapes, they were put into baskets that were tamei. Hanicha laman da'amar klei tamei choshev mashkin. That's acceptable to the view for those who say that a tamei utensil is significant enough to render liquids sufficiently tamei for transfer. Shapir, that's fine. Ela laman da'amar ein kli tamei choshev mashkin. But whoever says that such a tameh utensil is not significant enough to render liquids capable of transfer, my ikalamema. What are we going to say then? Ela Amar Zeiri. But rather Zeiri says Amar Rabbi Chanina. In the name of Rabbi Chanina. Okay? Gezerah Shema Yivatzrenu. Right? Lest, he says, that what happened would be that they would harvest the grapes, Bikupot Mezufafot, in baskets that have pitch. In other words, that they're sealed, so that what happens is the liquid is going to remain in the basket. Rava Amar Gezerah Mishum Hanoshchot. And Rava says the Gezerah was based on the fact that you had tight clusters of grapes. And these tight clusters would squeeze together, and as a result, juice would come out. Da'amar Rav Nachman Amar Rava bar Abua says as follows: Pa'amim she'adam holech lekarmo. There were times when a person would come to his field, to his vineyard, leida im higiu anavim lebetzira, to check to see if the grapes reach the stage of harvest, or not. V'notel eshkol anavim lesochto, and he would take a cluster of grapes in order to squeeze it, umizalef, and it would sprinkle or spray out al gabe anavim, on other grapes. Ubishat betzira adayan mashket tofech aleim, and at the time of the harvest, okay, then the liquid would be moist on these other grapes, and likewise then, if they were in the wine press, that would result in impurities. Next new piece in the Gemara, all right, where we try to deal with another one. V'idach, in another case, Amar Tavi, says Tavi, Rishva, Amar Shmuel, says Tavi, the bird trapper or hunter, in the name of Shmuel, Af Gidulei Truma. Okay, also the situation of growths, second generation from Truma produce. Truma is Truma. Bo Bayom Gazru, and that was decreed that day. My Tama, what's the reasoning? Amar Rabbi Chanina, Gzera Mishum Truma Tahora Biyad Yisrael. It was a decree, lest it be that pure Truma in the hand of a Jew, and he might then determine that in order not to have to do anything further with it, tithe it, etc., he could just replant it, right? In that case, as opposed to a Levi who would have to be required to give 1/10 of that to a Kohen, since the Torah does not dictate exactly how much the Israelite has to give. Amar Rava, says Rava, the Chashide Lahachi, if we're going to suspect this, Afrushi, Namalo Lifrosho. Why doesn't he simply not separate it, not take Truma whatsoever? Okay. Ela Amar Rava Yisrael. Rather, Rava said, Yisrael, Kivan de Efshar Lema'avad Chita Achat Kedeshmuel. Since an Israelite could even separate even a single grain of Truma produce, even though that's not the common or appropriate practice, Velo Ka'avid, and he didn't do it that way, Hamoneh Mehemne, he's going to be believed, right? And in that case, what happens? Elexera Mishum Truma Tmea Biad Kohen. No, says the Gemara. Rather, it's a decree because we might be concerned that there is inappropriate truma, Tamei Truma with the Kohen. And what is he going to do? Dilma Mashe La Gabe. He would leave it along, hold on to it, and perhaps even plant it and forget it, and then ultimately dig it up and eat it. Right? Va'ate lideit kala. And as a result, it would come to a stumbling block. A new piece in the Gemara. Ve'idach, Amar, says the Gemara. And another example, Ma'ashe'et, namely the following. Amar Rav Chaya, says Rav Chia Bar Ami, Mishmei Ula, in the name of Ula. Af, mi shehech shich lo b'derech. One who, in this case, is carrying a purse of money on the eve of Shabbos, and it starts getting dark while he's on the way. Notain kiso l'nachri. He must give his purse to a Gentile traveling with him. Bo bayom gazru. And this was decreed on that day. Ve'idach. And in another case, Amar Baali, Amar Avimi Sanvata. Says Baali in the name of Avimi Sanvata. Pitan, their bread, Ushmanan, their oil, V'yenam, and their wine, Ve'ubnotean, and their daughters, right? Of who? Okay, of Gentiles, all of their items. Kulan miyudchet davarhe. They're all among the 18 decrees. Hanechel Rabbi Meir. That's acceptable to Rabbi Meir. Ella, the Rabbi Yossi. What about Rabbi Yossi? Shebasare Havian, who only has then 17, because he said the vessels that were filled with water from the drain pipe, okay, in a courtyard, was still an issue between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. Ikaha, the Rav Acha Bar Ada. Okay, what happens? But however, there is that example given by Rav Acha Bar Ada, the Amar Rav Acha Bar Ada, who said, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, in the name of Rabbi Yitzchak, Gazru al Petan Mishum Shamnan. They made the decree on the bread because of the oil, their oil. Va'al Shamnan Mishum Yenam. And on the oil because of their wine. Al Pitan Mishum Shamnan. On the bread because of their oil. Mai ilume de shemen mipat. On what basis is oil more significant than bread? Ela gazru al pitan vishamnan mishum yenan. But rather they made decree on their bread and their oil because of the wine. And therefore you had two decrees there, right? And not one. Va'al yenan mishum benotehan. And on their wine because of their daughters, so that they wouldn't intermingle. That's we get the two different, right? Va'al benotehan mishum davar acher. And on the decree on the daughters because of something else, namely idolatry. Va'al davar echad mishum davar acher. And on the issue of the idolatry because of something else, probably concern about sexual interaction. My davar acher. What do we mean something else? Amar Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. He says Gazru al Tinok Nachri, that they made the decree on a Gentile infant, Shemetame beziva, that she's tame like a ziva. Shelo yehe Tinok Yisrael, right? Namely that a male, not Gentile, is tame like a zav or a ziva. Why? Shelo yehe Tinok Yisrael ragil etzlo b'mishkav zachor. Lest we be concerned that a Jewish child become involved with the Gentile child in any kind of homosexual act. Ihachi, the Rabbi Meir Nami Tisharei Havian. If that's the case, then Rabbi Meir would again only be lacking and have only 17. Ochlin v'kelim shenitma'u b'mashkin b'chad echashiv lahu. That's because he was of the opinion that in regards to utensils and foods that became impure through the liquids, okay, is one item was considered to be one item. Okay. Our new Mishnah. Now, as we continue a little bit quickly, Mishnah is going to deal with an issue. May Shabbat prohibited acts, which will continue on at its own after Shabbat has started, can it be begun on Erev Shabbat? Matnitin, our Mishnah teaches, Beit Shammai Omrim, Ein Shorin Dio. We don't soak dry ink, okay? The Samanim, or we don't soak dyes, the Karshinim, and we don't soak veg plants, Ele Kadei Sheyishoru Miba'od Yom, unless they can be soaked and used up during the daytime. Okay? Beit Hillel matirin, but Beit Hillel permits it. Beit Shammai omrim, Beit Shammai says, Ein notnim onin shel pishtan letoch hatanur, that we do not put bundles of flax into the oven. Ele kadei sheyahavilu miba'od yom, unless they can be steeped, right, steamed during the day. V'lo etat semer liora, nor do we put wool into a kettle. Okay, ele kadei sheyiklo ta'ayin, unless it can absorb totally the dye. Okay, again, Erev Shabbat. Ubeit Hillel matirin. Beit Shammai omrim in another case. Ein porsin mitzudot. We don't spread nets for a chaya, an animal, or wild animal, v'ofot, or birds, v'dakim, or fish. Ele kadeshi yatsudu mibi'od yom, unless they can be hunted during the day. Ubeit Hillel matirin, and Beit Hillel permits it. Beit Shammai omrim again. Ein mochrin l'nachri, we don't sell to a Gentile. Ve'ein to'aninimo, and we don't load his animal. Ve'ein magbi'in alav, and we don't help him lift items. Ele kadei sheyagia l'makom karov, unless he reaches his destination before Shabbat. Beit Hillel matirin, and Beit Hillel permits it. Again, Beit Shammai omrim ein notnim orot la'avdan. According to Beit Shammai, we don't give hides to be worked. V'lo kelim lekoves, nor clothes lekoves nachri, to a Gentile launderer. Ele kadei sheyasu miba'od yom, unless they can be done during the day. Ubekulan Beit Hillel matirin, and in all of them Beit Hillel permits. Okay, ad hashemesh, before sunset, and we'll stop right there. Now we're going to continue next on the top of Yud Chet Amud Aleph.